Hi, guys. So I've been thinking a bit about journalism in South Africa and the dissemination of information, right? So we used to previously get our information via traditional sources such as print media, such as television, such as radio. But now with the internet and with social media, a lot of the information we consume is on the net, right? Mostly via social media. And we have the privilege of being able to interact with those sources of information and form our own opinions in terms of commenting on that information and interacting with each other. So a lot of us get a lot of clarity in terms of the information that is shared from the comments that are put underneath that post, for example, on social media, or that video on social media. So it gives us an opportunity to get closer to how accurate that piece of information is, and if it's not accurate, what is the actual truth behind it, right? So I think that is a big win in as far as social media is concerned. The dissemination of information is a big one. So that has allowed for more sources of information to come forth. You've got this small little social media publications that put information forward. Unfortunately, in the country right now, we're very much interested, or we're easily distracted by pop culture and entertainment. So a lot of those sources, that is the kind of information they push in terms of what this celebrity sangoma or this person is doing with their lives, and not as much about the key issues that we should be entertaining in the country, especially with the state of the country right now. But it's a good start, right? Having more sources of information than the ones we're traditionally used to is a good start. It gets us somewhere. And the barriers to entry in terms of what might be considered as journalism right now are very, very low. That is a problem in itself, because you do get a lot of misinformation, or people that are rage baiting, because that kind of content gets a lot of engagement, and then they're able to get paid from the engagement stats. I think that's the one negative about that element of having multiple information sources with a very low barrier to entry. But it does provide an opportunity for those who want to share accurate information that is very constructive and is going to move us forward as a country, right? Because these social media platforms give us something important, and gives us audiences without us having to pay for them, right? Or if you have to pay for them, you pay a very small fee, compared to buying a billboard on a highway, or buying a slot on national television, or even buying a radio slot. It's not as costly, and anybody can get into it. So I would say, I would encourage a lot of people to um, create information sources about the things that they are positive about. It does take a while, especially if that what you're passionate about is not mainstream entertainment, because that's the content that is preferred right now, unfortunately. But there are a lot of people and a lot of audiences that are interested in a number of topics, from topics about agriculture. I saw somebody posted about a tool, an architecture tool called Rivet, right? And if you learn that tool, you are able to build up your skills to the point where you can become an in demand person and get a really good job, or even start a business, right? An architecture business, or a business aligned to architecture. So those kinds of constructive things are really needed, I feel, in the country. So if you've got an interest in something like that, and you would like, you are able to share about it, I'd say create an information source, call it, architectural interest digest, and just start a page or a number of pages across various social media platforms, and then start sharing information about that. The same goes for areas like health, like agriculture, like financial services, for example. I think a lot of people could use, as much information as they could get around how to manage finances, and just even not even giving advice, but just giving information around, one's financial timeline and financial roadmap from the time you turn 18 to the time you retire, and for various scenarios, such as working in retail, such as working in corporate, such as having your own business like a spaza shop, such as having your own business like a painting, company, and just draw up roadmaps of what the financial trajectory of a person like that would look like, so people have a have a more have a clearer view of how a person evolves financially through their lifetime. I think that would make a very big difference, in terms of people being responsible with their finances. So I think we have a number of issues we need to address in the country, and the it's a start having multiple sources of information, some of them informative, some of them more in the realm of journalism and sharing information. I mean, like if you look at the recent situation in the country around AfriForum and what happened with the whole situation, and a lot of responses were geared around sharing the real information, especially about what happened around apartheid, and where we come from and where we're going. A lot of the young people, especially the post 2000 young people, were not as conscious. They know about it, but they were not as conscious as some of the generations that are older than them are about the atrocities of apartheid. So they are more clued up. They are more exposed to where we come from as a people, and how next time somebody comes and says things were better during apartheid, they have a clearer view of what apartheid was really like, just based on that information sharing that happened at that time. So they're more clued up and they're more informed about what the past looks like, and it gives them a different perspective about why. A lot of parties are advocating for a certain type of future that it looks nothing like what the past used to look like, right? So I think if there's one thing I'd like to encourage to everyone, and I mean, there's a lot of platforms. You get a lot of channels on TikTok, on YouTube. You get a lot of pages on X, although personal content tends to do better on that platform, or content shared by um, what people perceive as a human being rather than a brand tends to do better on that platform. But I think across these platforms, if we just start creating information sources, even if it's just, I mean, it doesn't have to be serious, like lifestyle magazines. You can go into Canva and create a lifestyle magazine a digital lifestyle magazine that you can share on social media, that is a more accurate representation of how people in your age group and your demographic live and what they're interested in. I think that would, putting out positive images of what life is really like. I think, with for example, platforms like Instagram, they tend to blur reality a little bit, and a lot of uncomfortable or destructive trends tend to emerge out of that, because now 20-year-olds um, uh, have a view that by 22 they should be driving a BMW, living in an apartment in Sandton, and buying named brands without having, without realizing that a lot of that is inauthentic, and some of them is financed via, lifestyles that build up trauma over time.